I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. I just landed at the airport in San Salvador a little while ago. I'm now en route into the city, looking forward to meeting with the team from the American Embassy. And I do want to thank our Foreign Service officers and the whole team at this embassy and embassies around the world for all the good work they do on behalf of our country. I'm proud to co-chair the bipartisan Foreign Service Caucus that stands up for the men and women who are serving our country overseas and at home in the State Department. After that, I hope to meet with some high-level government officials from El Salvador. As I've said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea.
I'm just as disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador his aid. When yesterday I read in his state, an illegal alien charged with murder was released back into the community, and not the ICE detainer wasn't honored, and ICE had to go find him in his state. In his state, the murder of Rachel Murrin yesterday. Listen to the testimony and listen to the mother on Handy last night. If you're not human, then your heart wasn't broken. It's just in his state. But rather than taking care of the constituents in his state, the victims of illegal crime in his state, he's going to run to El Salvador to protect the MS-13 terrorists. It's just disgusting.
Oh boy. So we got to follow up on the story involving the illegal immigrant, alleged gang member, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was rightfully deported back to El Salvador, his home country, and he is now home sitting in the maximum security prison in El Salvador, and Democrats are currently losing their minds, okay? This story right here, I think, is going to be the downfall of the Democrat Party, right? This may be the final nail in their coffin. Their approval rating is already at 21%. I believe that it is much lower than the mainstream media wants to admit. And, you know, Democrats are basically saying, you know what, we're going to die on the hill of showing you how much we care about illegal immigrants more than we care about the American people. OK, and that is the way that this story is shaping up. And the Trump administration has basically put the Democrats in a trap, and they're falling for it hook, line and sinker. Right. That's essentially what is happening. OK, as the DOJ and the DHS has released documents basically verifying that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a gang member, okay? And the documents are right here, okay? They are the documents from when he originally was detained by law enforcement, and they go through in detail why they believe he is a gang member, okay? Apparently, he was arrested in the company of known MS-13 gang members carrying marijuana and cash, okay? Also, on top of that, something that you won't hear from the media is that in 2021, his wife filed a restraining order against him for domestic violence. Allegedly, he punched her, scratched her, and tore off her shirt. Again, this is the individual that Democrats are supporting, okay? Apparently, this guy was arrested with other gang members. He's an active MS-13 gang member. And there's a lot more information here that demonstrates why the administration plus judges, right, immigration judges thought that Abrego Garcia was an MS-13 gang member, including the fact that he was hanging out with people who are known gang members, okay, a part of the MS-13 gang, which is something that gang members do. He also had all of the paraphernalia. He was wearing paraphernalia that suggests that he is a part of MS-13. So again, you're wearing paraphernalia, you're hanging out with MS-13 gang members, and what the mainstream liberal media is not telling you is that this is not some random thing where they're saying, oh, he's MS-13 for no reason. The authorities that detain him have strong reasons to believe that he is MS-13, considering how the other individuals, or another individual that they had detained at the time, the officers were unable to determine his gang affiliations. Officers know MS-13 gang members are only allowed to hang around other members or prospects for the gang. Officers, they continued to monitor him, but he was sitting on his way without further incident. Basically, they let go of the other people that were detained at the same time as Obrego Garcia due to the fact that, well, they didn't have any real reason outside of him hanging out with people who they strongly believe are MS-13 to say that he is MS-13, which means that, again, this wasn't one of those things where officers was just like, hey, we're going to pick up 4 Hispanic guys and we're going to say they're all MS-13 for no reason. No, that's not what happened. They went through their due diligence and they basically confirmed via paraphernalia who he was hanging out with, and a confidential independent source saying that Obrego Garcia not only is an MS-13 gang member, but also confirmed his rank. Now, the reason why the administration is putting this out is because, again, the mainstream liberal media is trying to make it seem as if this guy was just some innocent father who never committed any crimes or he never did anything bad. Okay, he's just a totally non-violent, upstanding member of society who just happened to sneak into the country illegally, in which there's also documentation of him admitting that as well too, that he came into the country illegally. Okay, he actually claimed that he walked across the desert for several days to enter the United States of America. So again, the narrative that Democrats have put out there is just falling apart. But again, the mainstream liberal media insists there's no evidence that he's a gang member, okay, or that he was here illegally. This is what they're saying in the media.
But I think what really matters to Americans is that this MS-13 gang member, who unfortunately, Jay, you and a lot of your colleagues have called a Maryland man, when in reality,
I'm going to stop you there. What is your evidence,
member.
Tricia? Wait, I got to stop you there. What's your evidence that he's in MS-13?
Well, there's actually been 2 separate immigration judges, Jay, who have confirmed and ruled that he is a member of MS-13.
Well,
that, as well as we have intelligence,
it was brought up in deportation
they sure did,
proceedings.
Jay.
But what's the evidence that was brought up in those deportation proceedings that he's in MS-13?
And they dismissed his appeal, Jay. I can do this all day, Jay. He is a member of MS-13. I don't think you'd want to be his neighbor, Jay. I sure wouldn't. And I don't think many Americans watching would want to be this individual's neighbor. He has been involved in human trafficking. He's been involved in labor trafficking, and he should not be in this country. So whether he's in an El Salvadorian jail or a U.S. detention facility, I am so very glad, as are millions of Americans, that he is off of U.S. streets. Because remember, Jay, who is MS-13? They maim, they rape. They kill Americans for sport, and the American people are done with it. They said so on November 5th, 2024.
Yeah, so you say that, you heard that, okay? The mainstream liberal media narrative is falling apart very quickly, right? And they are very upset by this, okay? They're raging over the fact that their propaganda doesn't work in the era of social media and independent journalism, right? That can show and demonstrate that the mainstream liberal media, they are lying, okay? This guy has had due process, okay? He was denied bond, okay? Because of the fact that a judge, a court, determined that it appears that he is a gang member, right? Which is exactly what you see right here. This is the court documentation. He says, well, I'm in fear of my life. If I go back to El Salvador, then something bad might happen to me, okay? And at that point, he was allowed a withholding of removal in which he couldn't be deported back to El Salvador. But that is not the same thing as asylum, right? That is not the same thing as being allowed to stay. He still should be deported. He just can't be deported back to El Salvador. However, he was deported back to El Salvador after President Trump designated MS-13 a terrorist organization. So basically, members of the MS-13 gang are technically terrorists, okay, within the United States of America. And I believe that the administration is basically using that as their argument for why the withholding order is null and void, right? Like basically him being a terrorist and 2 immigration judges basically saying, yeah, we think that he is a gang member. Therefore, that is all they need to say, hey, you know what? We can't send him back to El Salvador because he is a member of MS-13. This was decided on in court. Okay, you might not like the evidence. You may say the evidence is weak. You can say all that stuff you want, but it was determined by 2 judges, okay, that, hey, this guy is likely a gang member, okay, he's dangerous enough that we're going to deny him bond, right? So yeah, the Trump administration is using that to say what we did was right. And Democrats, they are losing their minds so much that some of them, Chris Van Hollen, for example, the senator from Maryland, has now went to El Salvador to try to get back Abrego Garcia, right? To take an illegal immigrant from his home country and bring him back to the United States of America. And let's just say that trip for Chris Van Hollen did not go very well. Take a look.
So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. I asked, he said he needed a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone. I asked him how about his family? How can he talk to his wife so that she can hear his voice?
First of all, I'm more than happy to hear the congressman say they're all going to El Salvador. I think for Republicans, this just confirms what we have believed about the Democratic Party and why it currently has a 21% approval rating in Congress. Look where the energy in the Democratic Party is. It's around retrieving illegal aliens from El Salvador. It's around fighting for these college campuses that have been rife with anti-Semitism. It's around biological males who want to play in girls' sports. This is why they are losing to Donald Trump every day, because the energy that Democrats feel comes on all these issues that are fundamentally not where the American people are.
Congressman, one second. Congressman, can I give you the chance to respond to that?
Donald Trump. Yeah, I mean, it's Donald Trump that's actually losing the support of the American people. Donald Trump's not focused on lowering the costs of housing, not focused on lowering the price of goods. He's out there deporting people that have legal status to be here, revoking student visas from students that are contributing to this country.
He doesn't have legal status to be here, Congressman. He has a deportation order. You're going to go to El Salvador. You're going to go maybe go to the grocery store. Like, there's an issue here where you could possibly win on, but you're going to El Salvador instead.
It's okay that someone walking into getting their citizenship, walking into their citizenship test, their citizenship meeting, is being apprehended on the way into their next process, which just happened to somebody in Vermont, and it's happening now across the country. Students are being deported and revoked of their student visas. Yes. Many are not being told why that's the case. That should not be happening in the United States. And certainly someone shouldn't be deported and being left in a prison in a foreign country when the Supreme Court says they should be returned back. And so those are the questions. And by the way, as Democrats and as a Congress and a government, we should be able to do multiple things at the same time. We should be able to take on billionaires who are raiding the government. We should be able to take on Elon Musk, who has no business being in charge of Doge. And yes, protecting the civil rights and human rights of people that are in this country and entrusted to us. And so, yes, Scott, we can do all of those things. And it's Donald Trump who's actually defined the Supreme Court and whose numbers are going down.
Kate Bedingfield. I would also just say to your the energy from Democrats is on these issues. Let's also look at the elections that have taken place since November of 2024. You've seen the Republican agenda start to be rejected. You saw it rejected in Wisconsin, where Elon Musk was at the center of the race there. You saw Democrats with an enormous amount of energy and independents with an enormous amount of energy come out and reject the agenda. So, I think let's look at where the electoral voice of Americans has been since Trump was elected.
Can I ask the Congressman one question? Do you believe that Garcia should come back to the United States and be allowed to live here indefinitely?
I think that Garcia is allowed to due process. That's what I believe.
Do you think he should be able to stay in the United States indefinitely, or would you support him being sent to another country?
What I would support is for him to be able to have due process in this country, which he's being denied of right now.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that, right? I think everybody knew that this Democrat would get rejected and that he would just humiliate himself going over to El Salvador, demanding that he go see an illegal immigrant who's not an American citizen, right? I'm just saying, like, how embarrassing is this? Okay, the Democrat Party, they should be ashamed of themselves at this point, okay? But like I said at the beginning of this video, they're falling into the trap, right? Because, again, this guy is a senator from Maryland, and it just so happens that on April 14th, which as of the making of this video was only 2 days ago, you had an illegal immigrant by the name of Victor Martinez Hernandez, a 24-year-old El Salvadorian national who entered the United States illegally. He was just found guilty. He was convicted of first-degree murder of Miss Rachel Morin, a 37-year-old mother of 5 from Bel Air, Maryland, who was brutally attacked and killed on August 5th, 2023, while jogging on a trail. Now, again, this story sounds very familiar. Okay, we see these stories quite a bit in this country where you have women being killed by illegal immigrants, but Democrats don't have anything to say about that, right? You don't see any outrage from the Democrat Party. And again, the Trump administration, again, understands the politics of all this and just how bad this really looks for Democrats. And, the Trump administration decided to allow the mother of Miss Rachel Morin to talk to the press, who was begging the administration for answers about Abrego Garcia. But yet they don't have anything to say. They don't seem to be concerned at all about the victims of the crimes that are committed in this country, the heinous acts that are committed in this country by the illegal immigrants that Democrats seem to care about so much. They care about them so much that they will go to foreign countries to bring them back to the United States of America. But again, this senator had nothing to say to this mother at all about what happened to her.
A lot of you don't know the whole story about Rachel and about the crime that was committed against her. Even us, her family, we didn't know all the details. They kept most of it close to their chest, the detectives, because they didn't want to do anything to hurt the case. They wanted to keep the integrity of the case, so they kept everything close. I sat for the last 2 weeks in her trial, and we saw layer upon layer upon layer of evidence against the accused, an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. And the things that we thought, well, maybe this might have happened, we didn't know. But when we were at the trial, we got all the puzzle pieces. And I want to share some of those things with you. You know that Rachel's a 37-year-old mother. She has 5 children. We've walked the trail for the last 25 years that we've lived in Maryland. It's a safe place for our family. It's where we go to get a little bit of New England, because that's where we're from, New England. When she went on that trail that day, she was not planning on dying. She wasn't planning on walking to her death. She was planning on going to the grocery store with her girls afterwards. Victor Martinez, he waited for her. He waited for her to come closer. He saw her. He saw that there was nobody around. He attacked her. He dragged her 150 feet, blood gushing from her head. It left a 150-foot trail of her blood to the culverts, where he picked her up, he threw her against the wall of the tunnel, and he raped her.
Any questions for Patty or for me? No?
I have a question.
No? Anybody? Okay. We'll see you all later. The president will be at his dinner later this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please tell the
Thank you.
truth.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Please tell the truth. Exactly. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell how violent it really is. This is about protecting our children. It's more than just politics or votes or just anything. It's about national security, protecting Americans, protecting our children. Thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
Amazing. Amazing. They don't have any questions, right? The mainstream liberal media, they have no questions whatsoever about a brutal murder of an American by an illegal immigrant. They don't have any questions at all, right? They ain't got a lot to say about it. But they got all the questions in the world to ask about an illegal immigrant who, his wife, who, is boohoo-whining and crying for him to come back. But at the same time, she also claimed that he beat her, right? MS-13 gang member, at least enough evidence for judges to determine that, hey, this guy might be dangerous. We're going to deny bond before he started pretending that he was an asylum seeker, of course. But regardless, it shows you where the priorities of the mainstream liberal media and the Democrat Party are, right? In fact, as all of this is happening, you have Democrats on national television basically advocating for judges to hold Trump officials in contempt of court for protecting the American people by deporting dangerous illegal immigrant criminals. This is what Democrats are doing at this point.
Judge Boasberg, who was a President Bush appointee when he originally went on the bench, and he was Justice Kavanaugh's roommate at Yale, will go down in history as a great judicial hero for what he's doing here, because he is trying to put up a huge stop sign against the lawlessness. He said, I issued an injunction for you to not let those planes go, or if they were in the air, to turn them around. They hadn't left yet, but you willfully, deliberately defied a court order. You can't do that. Even the President of the United States can't do that. The executive branch can't do it. The legislative branch can't do it. No citizen can do it. You cannot defy the order of a court. And he's saying, I'm going to give you one last chance, essentially, to purge the contempt, to bring the Trump administration in line with the law. So he's given them one last chance before he makes a final ruling on criminal contempt. And if I were them, I would get those people back immediately who were covered by his original injunction. This is a line-by-line, minute-by-minute recitation of the defiance and contempt of the administration.
Yeah, so this is where we're at right now, guys. This is the clown show of the Democrat Party and mainstream liberal media. They're lying. They're going to other countries to bring back illegal immigrants. They're now trying to force courts. They're trying to basically tell courts to encourage them to punish Trump officials, right? To hold them in criminal contempt over deportations, over deporting illegal immigrants, protecting our country, protecting women, children, enforcing laws. Again, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. If this is the hill that Democrats want to die on, be my guest. I just think that this is part of the reason why the Democrat Party, their rating is so low. And I think the Trump administration kind of understands the situation that they're putting Democrats in right now. And Democrats are falling for it. They're falling for it. This is not the battle I'll be trying to fight. If I was a Democrat, I'm like, look, guys, I don't think this is the battle we want to fight. Do we really want to fight for illegal immigrants to come back into this country when we just lost the election because of the fact that we mass imported people in this country? Because that's what they did. It was on purpose. But again, they're double and triple down. I don't understand how anybody can believe the Democrat Party when they come out here and tell you they want to be tough on illegal immigration. They don't want to be tough. They love illegal immigration. They love criminals coming into the country. They love when they commit these violent acts. They love it. They love it. In fact, they love it so much. Again, they'll go to other countries to bring them back into the United States of America. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.